February, she was diagnosed with ITP, which I've recently learned to pronounce is Idiopathic Thrombocytopenic Purpura. I know. Which basically means that her platelets within her blood, they drop really, really low because there's antibodies that are attaching to the platelets and attacking them. Symptoms are like bruising, bloody noses, bleeding in the gums, bleeding in the mouth, that kind of stuff. She fortunately only really seems to be experiencing the bruising side of it. The worry with it though is that if her platelets get too low, specifically when they get below 10,000, then they worry about brain bleeds and internal bleeds, and that's what makes it dangerous. So initially I saw, you know, if you like graze yourself but you don't quite break skin, you get those like red dots. She started having a couple of those, but nothing intense. So I kind of thought, oh, maybe she had a bump here or a bump there. You know, you don't think some big disease, you just think something, you know. But then I was actually away with my family in February, and literally I would bath her and she'd wake up the next morning and she'd have the most intense, like purple marks on her body and these dots everywhere. And I was just like, no, this is definitely not normal. And her doctor straight away said he actually booked her into hospital that night. So her appointment was like 4 o'clock that afternoon. We didn't go home. My husband then came and we did a switch over. I went home and packed a bag and we stayed in hospital that night, and they did blood tests and to check and everything. And he straight away thought that's what it could be. Along with the potentially more scary diseases. So obviously they did the test for that, like I know leukemia was one of them, or lupus and that kind of stuff. So we were very grateful when that all came back negative and they sort of isolated it to ITP. I know they always say don't turn to Dr. Google, but I must say it was a little bit calming actually, because I Googled like crazy. Any possible thing I could think of, I Googled. With ITP, it's not something you can diagnose. He said ITP you diagnose by eliminating other things. So you kind of test for everything else, and when everything else comes back negative, then you know it's ITP. So she gets a drip. She has 2 doses at the moment because they work it out based on your weight and everything. And it takes about 12 hours for her to get the transfusion. So we're actually in hospital this week for her latest treatment. And it was actually quite pleasant because instead of spending 2 nights, we only had to spend 1 night. So we're now the more we get into this, we're also getting it down to a bit of a fine art with the treatment. So be able to spend less and less time actually in hospital, because you know that's never really pleasant for anyone. So I must say Riley is actually a champion. I know I'm incredibly biased because she's my daughter, but I genuinely think she is. She is fantastic. She actually loves going to hospital. I don't know why, it's weird. We don't have the same feelings about it. I dread it, she loves it. But I think for her it's so nice because myself or my husband are there with her all the time. So she has undivided attention. She's playing, she's building puzzles, she's playing with her dolls, or she gets to watch the iPad. Grannies are visiting. So for her it's like a little social occasion. The hardest thing though is truly when they draw blood. When I say she screams, it's not the normal I'm sad, I'm crying scream. It is like a blood curdling, it breaks my heart scream. She hates it, and that for me is very terrible because when she's screaming and she's saying no and she's saying mommy, and I cannot do anything because I know they have to do it. It has to be done. And I just keep telling her, I'm like, baby, it's going to be done soon, it'll be over quickly. And I keep telling her, the doctor needs your blood so that we can see if the medicine's working. And I try to explain it to her that way. And then after, she's really happy because she's got her own little doctor set now. So, you know, with normal children, they have a little syringe and I think they would give medicine. If she has a little syringe, she's coming to draw blood from me. And then she'll tell me shame. She'll draw blood from me and she'll say, mommy, cry. And then I pretend to cry. Then she'll grab my leg. She'll, it's okay, it'll be over soon. So obviously imitating what I do to her, which is sweet and kind of sad as well. So that's really hard. But the actual rest of the time in hospital, I mean, the nurses, and I think also because with children, everyone's a lot more kinder and a lot more nicer to the kids. So everybody's so lovely with her, which is also really nice.